Matt Smith reporting here for Sports Talk at the stadium. The stadium tonight, TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. And what was a pretty sweet end to the regular season for South Carolina and its fans soured a bit here as we made the trek down to Florida, losing 45-38 in the Gator Bowl. Great start for South Carolina. Gamecock fans, you probably just wanted to bottle the elation of the first quarter. Ideal game plan. And that game plan, by the way, we can credit now Freddie Kitchens, among others. The scuttlebutt in the writer's press box up here at TIA Bank Field was that Freddie Kitchens was responsible for what was going on in the field early in the ball game, had his fingerprints on it, that up-tempo offense that Rattler was operating to precision, firing quick passes out, slants to Dakarian Joyner, getting the ball into Juice Wells' hands. And in the post-game, Shane Beamer credited Freddie Kitchens, but also Nick Coleman said it was a team effort, a group effort in terms of play calling. Didn't want to single anybody out, but he did say he really credited Freddie Kitchens and Nick Coleman. Now, that was the good news. So South Carolina comes out firing on all cylinders. It was, at first, just what Gamecock fans had grown to love about this team. Pete Limbo calling a special teams pass, a fake kick that Kai Kroger was actually in. Notre Dame should have seen it coming, but they ran out on the field quickly. And what happens? Kai Kroger throws a touchdown pass to Hunter Rogers. No shock there. Then on the other end, meaning the other side of the ball, South Carolina's defensive backs come up with some plays early on in the ball game. DQ Smith. And we've got to credit Boogie Huntley here. Alex Huntley playing defensive tackle along what is a thin defensive line, comes up, tips Tyler Buckner's pass right into the waiting arms of DQ Smith, and he knows what to do with it. He takes it 47 yards back for the touchdown. And my impressions of the first half, look, no offense to Notre Dame. They won the ball game. But to me, I thought South Carolina was the more athletic team. That when everybody was fresh, I thought players like Juice Wells and Dakarian Joyner, and even watching Spencer Rattler elude the pass rush at Notre Dame, and watching South Carolina's young defensive backs make plays, I felt like South Carolina was the more athletic team. It had the better roster. Now, but obviously both teams had lost some players due to opt-outs. So, look, we can all debate that and hash that out throughout the offseason. But I would just say my impressions were South Carolina, there's nothing wrong with this roster. You have to be happy if you're a Gamecock fan, the fact that despite the loss of so many key pieces, we won't drag it out again, but Jaheim Bell and Marshawn Lloyd, among others, this South Carolina team looked every bit as talented as Notre Dame. But as the game wore on, Notre Dame kept its composure, made its adjustments, and in the second half continued to pound the football on the ground at that thin Gamecocks defense. Probably just didn't have enough guys. And look, it was a double-edged sword. The fact that South Carolina took back two interceptions for touchdowns, meant that defense went right back out on the field. So even though South Carolina had a hefty advantage in the first half in terms of plays on the field, in the second half, Notre Dame stayed on the field with a fake punt. Marcus Freeman knew what we were saying on Twitter, which is South Carolina had control, and Notre Dame needed for its run game to start to pay dividends. And I don't know that it would have happened without that fake punt call. So give Notre Dame credit, kind of a little bit of Pete Limbo's own medicine there. And Notre Dame stays on the field, and the running game eventually takes over. The stats weren't impressive for the Irish through the first 2.5 quarters, but in the fourth quarter, 149 yards rushing. And that was the difference because they were able to pick up first downs, stay on the field, and the Gamecocks simply, in my mind, ran out of gas. An outstanding effort, and Shane Beamer was tearing up at the beginning of the press conference because I think he wanted this win so much for the players that were dedicated to this program. If you missed it earlier in the week, well, I guess it was yesterday. Long week for me here in Jacksonville, but just yesterday, Shane Beamer said that 2 players had come to him that were planning on transferring and entering the portal and wanted to be a part of the Gator Bowl, and he said, no, if you're going, go. I want guys that are committed to this. So I think he wanted this to work out for the players that stayed, that didn't transfer, that stayed committed to what Shane Beamer and this staff are building here. And when it didn't work out, because they were so thin at some key spots. I think it really broke Shane Beamer's hearts for the players in that locker room. And if you listen to the postgame audio at sportstalksc.com, I think you'll pick that up as well. But from the football perspective, we all know that football's a physical game. And usually the team that sticks with the run game the longest comes out on top. And that's what happened here with Notre Dame. South Carolina never got anything going on the ground. And really that was the case. Down the stretch, they were really getting away with it because Rattler and Juice Wells and all of the playmakers on offense. Nate Atkins, who left tonight's game with an injury to his upper body in the third quarter, the last tight end standing for South Carolina. Those players that were making plays against Tennessee and Clemson, they were really doing that without a consistent run game. So they were getting away with it, and it finally caught up with them here in Jacksonville. As Notre Dame was probably the antidote to that, probably the wrong kind of team for South Carolina to get away without being balanced on offense for 4 quarters. They were able to rush out to that lead, but you could see that Notre Dame was tracking them down little by little because their physical style of play. And look, Notre Dame fans will tell you they were missing some players too, like their quarterback Drew Pine. But in earnest, Notre Dame was not missing their offensive line. And that was the difference, the fact they had those 5 guys and their trio of running backs as well. And that was truly the difference. Quarterback play wasn't going to make a difference. Now, Tyler Buckner did a nice job running for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he also threw 3 interceptions. So Notre Dame kind of got away with some stuff as well because if you look at it from this perspective, how do you get, if you're a Gamecock fan, how do you not win a game when you have 2 pick sixes and Kai Kroger throws a touchdown? So special team scores, defense scores twice. You have Spencer Rattler, and you can't quite get it done. But that was how it was, and I think we can also say that that's bowl season now in 2022. It's a battle of attrition. That's a hackneyed phrase, but I used it there. So what does this mean for South Carolina moving forward? Some draft-eligible players like Spencer Rattler, like Juice Wells, like Jordan Burch, they still have decisions to make. But I think Gamecock fans can be heartened by the fact there's so many players out there like O'Donnell Fortune in his first start. He didn't back down. First start, freshman, bowl game, Notre Dame, didn't bother him. 100-yard return for a touchdown. As a matter of fact, he played brilliantly throughout. Some of the Gamecocks were beaten a little bit throughout the game, but I think that was due in part. These guys were not getting much rest. Both sides of the ball, they were going at it. I think the game plan was, if you could catch Shane Beamer in an honest moment, was we've got to get a lead. We've got to build a lead and then hold on because we just don't have enough key players. We don't have enough beef to do this for 4 quarters. But if we can make enough plays in the first half, build a lead, force Notre Dame to abandon its run game, then we can hang on for the win. And they almost pulled it off. So 8-5 finish for South Carolina. I think Gamecock fans looking at the beginning of the season would have taken it. Wins over Tennessee and Clemson, and frankly, that spoiled college football playoff trips for those 2 rivals. Gamecock fans have to be happy with that. Didn't get the bowl win over Notre Dame. Notre Dame gets a measure of revenge. As the last time these 2 teams met was 1984. Joe Morrison, Mike Hold got it done then. Shane Beamer, Spencer Rattler fall just short tonight. That's it from here in Jacksonville. We'll continue to break all of this down as there's going to be more and more news seeping out about this team and is about the roster, how it shapes up for next season. We already know Dowell Loggins is coming in as the offensive coordinator. We already know he was a tight ends coach, and there are 6 new tight ends coming into South Carolina. What does the future hold for Luke Doty, among others? If Rattler does move on, is it Doty's job? But we assume that it is. The offense would certainly look different. That's going to be fun to talk about. And what about Juice Wells? If Rattler leaves, Wells seems to have hinted this week that he would take off for and see where he lands in the NFL draft as well. But a lot for Gamecock fans to be excited about in the future. One of the best recruiting classes in the country, and a lot of young names made impact plays out there tonight. So it hurts tonight, but Gamecock fans, when you get the chance in the offseason, maybe you can go back and rewatch this game and pick out all of the players that are going to be a part of that 2023 roster and just how they performed, especially through the first 2 quarters tonight when they were rested and at their best. That's it from here in Jacksonville. Again, sportstalksc.com. You'll find everything, and be sure to stay plugged in to Sports Talk all week long across the network. Phil Kornbluth, Chris Bergen, Pat Daniel breaking it down every Monday through Friday from 6 to 8. And if you're not locked in and subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do that. Go to YouTube, find Sports Talk SC there on YouTube. You can catch it anywhere in the world on your phone. Subscribe, like, and then you get notified every time Sports Talk is going live, and you can hear the breakdown about South Carolina and Clemson football from there. So that's it. Little long report tonight, but hey, it's the last one of 2022. So kick back, enjoy the new year. Gamecock fans, there's still plenty to be happy about that happened here in this 2022 season.